I was 28 when I found out my boyfriend of 3 years and my best friend of 12 had been sleeping together. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't even cry, at least not right away. Instead, I did something that would change all of our lives forever. I befriended her mother. Let me back up. My name is Ellie, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I lived in Seattle, had a decent job at a tech marketing firm, shared a cute apartment with my boyfriend, Ryan, and had what I believed was a rock-solid friendship with my childhood best friend, Amber. We'd been inseparable since sophomore year of high school, survived the drama of teenage years, attended different colleges but remained close, and ended up in the same city after graduation. She was the sister I never had, the person I called at 2 a.m. with good news or bad, the one who knew all my secrets, or so I thought. "You look tired," my coworker Jenna mentioned one morning as I microwaved my sad office oatmeal. "Everything okay?" I nodded automatically. "Yeah, just didn't sleep well. Ryan had a late business dinner and I stayed up waiting." "Again?" She raised an eyebrow. "Wasn't that like the third time this week?" Something in her tone made my stomach twist. I'd been noticing the late nights too, the new cologne, the way his phone was suddenly always face down. Classic signs, right? But I'd been telling myself I was paranoid, that relationships go through phases, that trust matters. "It's tax season," I said defensively. "His firm is swamped." Jenna just gave me that look, the one friends give when they know you're lying to yourself. But she dropped it, and I spent the rest of the day buried in work, pushing away the nagging thoughts. That night, I finally broke. Ryan was working late again, and I did what I'd been avoiding for weeks. I checked his location on our shared phone plan. He wasn't at his office downtown. He was in Queen and the neighborhood where Amber lived. It could be innocent, I told myself. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me. Maybe he was helping her with something. Maybe, but at 11:30 p.m., I drove there, heart pounding so hard I thought I might be sick. I parked across from her building and waited, telling myself I was being crazy, that there would be a reasonable explanation. At 12:17 a.m., Ryan walked out of her building. Amber followed him to the door. They kissed, not a friendly peck, but the kind of kiss that told me everything I needed to know. She wrapped her arms around his neck, his hands slid down to her waist in that familiar way I thought was just for me. Something inside me went very, very quiet. I didn't honk. I didn't storm over there. I just sat, watching them say goodbye, watching him check his phone, probably texting me that he was on his way home from work, watching her blow one last kiss before closing her door. I drove home, packed an overnight bag, and left a note. "I know about you and Amber. Don't call me." Then I checked into a hotel and finally let myself fall apart. The next 3 days were a blur of ignored calls and texts from both of them. The classic excuses started flooding in. "It just happened, we never meant to hurt you, it wasn't planned," and my personal favorite from Ryan, "It doesn't mean anything." 3 years together, and I didn't mean anything. 12 years of friendship, and I didn't mean anything. I took a week off work, told my parents a sanitized version of events, and tried to figure out my next steps. I needed a place to live, needed to disentangle my life from Ryan's, needed to somehow process this double betrayal. It's when I got the text that would change everything. "Ellie, honey, it's Diana. Amber's mom. I just heard what happened. I'm so sorry. If you need anything at all, please call me." Diana had always been like a second mother to me. When my own mom and I went through rough patches in my teen years, Diana's house had been my refuge. She made the best banana bread, always remembered my birthday, and genuinely seemed to enjoy having me around. After high school, we'd kept in touch sporadically, usually through Amber or when I'd visit their family during holidays. I hesitated before calling her. Would she take Amber's side? Was this some kind of trap? But when I heard her voice, I knew it wasn't. "Oh, Ellie," she said, her voice breaking. "I am so ashamed of my daughter right now I can hardly speak. What she did to you, there's no excuse. And just like that, I broke down again, sobbing into the phone as Diana listened. She didn't try to defend Amber. She didn't make excuses. She just listened, making small sounds of sympathy and outrage at all the right moments. I raised her better than this, Diana said finally. I don't know where I went wrong. You didn't, I managed between sniffles. You're the best mom I know. Listen, she said after a pause. Are you free for coffee tomorrow? I'd like to see you, make sure you're okay. No Amber, obviously. Just us. That coffee turned into lunch, which turned into shopping, which somehow turned into regular Saturday outings. Diana became my unexpected lifeline in those first awful weeks. She helped me find a new apartment, listened as I processed my grief and anger, and never once tried to push me toward forgiveness or reconciliation. They made their choices, she said firmly one afternoon as we browsed through a farmer's market. Now they can live with the consequences. I learned that Diana had her own complicated feelings about the situation. Amber was her only child, but she was deeply disappointed in her behavior. She and Amber were having their own struggles over it. She keeps saying I'm choosing you over her, Diana confided. But that's not it at all. I'm choosing basic human decency. I'm choosing to support the person who was wronged. If she can't understand that, well, that's another failure on her part. As the weeks passed, something unexpected happened. Diana and I developed a friendship entirely our own, separate from my history with Amber. We discovered we both loved mystery novels, hated cilantro, and shared a dream of visiting Greece someday. We had the same sarcastic sense of humor and the same low tolerance for BS. You know what's funny? Diana said one evening as we finished a bottle of wine on my new apartment's tiny balcony. I always wished Amber would be more like you, more driven, more thoughtful. I love my daughter, but she's always taken the easy way out. I should have felt uncomfortable hearing this, but instead, it was vindicating. Amber had always been the pretty one, the social butterfly, the one who seemed to glide through life effortlessly while I worked twice as hard for half the recognition. Learning that her own mother saw through that facade was surprisingly healing. 3 months after D-Day, as I'd come to call it, Diana mentioned something that would spark my master plan. It's my 60th birthday next month, she sighed. I've always wanted to do something special, but with the divorce last year and now all this drama, I'll probably just have a quiet dinner at home. I knew that Diana's ex-husband, Amber's dad, had left her for his much younger assistant, cliché as that was. The divorce had been finalized just before my own relationship imploded. What would you do if you could do anything? I asked. Her eyes lit up. Oh, I've had this silly dream for years. There's this 2-week Mediterranean cruise that stops in Greece, Italy, and Spain. I've got the brochure somewhere still, she trailed off, but I could see the longing in her eyes. So why not do it? I pressed. She laughed. On a high school counselor's salary? Not likely. An idea began forming in my mind, an idea so perfect, so deliciously satisfying that I almost gasped out loud. You see, I knew something Diana didn't. I knew that Amber had been saving for years for a mother-daughter trip to Greece. She'd mentioned it countless times, how she was going to surprise Diana for her 60th by taking her on her dream vacation. It was the one genuinely selfless thing I'd ever seen Amber commit to. Also knew that Amber had recently gotten a promotion at her PR firm, a promotion she'd celebrated by cheating with my boyfriend instead of booking that trip she'd been promising her mother for years. What if I went with you? I said casually, watching Diana's face. She blinked. What? The cruise. What if we went together? Split the costs, share a cabin? Oh, honey, that's sweet, but I couldn't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. I need a vacation too, and I've been saving for something special. That part wasn't a lie. I had been saving for a down payment on a house I thought Ryan and I would buy together someday. Diana protested weakly, but I could see she was tempted. Over the next few days, I researched options, found an incredible deal on a last-minute booking, and presented her with a complete proposal. 2 weeks, 7 countries, unlimited food, and best of all, no cell service unless we pay for the expensive satellite package, which we won't, I explained, showing her the itinerary. We leave 3 weeks from today, just after your birthday. To seal the deal, I mentioned that I'd already put down the deposit. It was refundable, I assured her, but I could see the excitement winning out over her hesitation. You're serious about this, she said, not quite a question. Dead serious, I replied with a smile that felt almost predatory. It'll be the trip of a lifetime. What I didn't tell Diana was that I'd used the exact itinerary Amber had shown me last year, the same cruise line, the same dates, pushed forward by a year, even the same excursions Amber had planned to surprise her mom with. And I definitely didn't tell her that I'd been sending Amber periodic updates and photos of our growing friendship, watching her confusion and frustration build as her mother spent more and more time with the friend she had betrayed. The real twist of the knife came exactly 1 week before we were set to leave. I made sure to invite Diana over for dinner on a night I knew Amber would be stopping by her mom's place to drop off some things. When Amber couldn't find her mom at home, she called, and Diana answered cheerfully from my kitchen. "Oh, I'm at Ellie's. We're finalizing details for our trip next week." The silence on the other end was palpable even from where I Saturday. "Trip?" I heard Amber's tinny voice through the phone. Diana's face lit up. "Yes. Can you believe it? Ellie's taking me on that Mediterranean cruise I've always wanted for my birthday. The one with the stops in Santorini and Athens. We'll be gone for 2 whole weeks." Another long silence. That's the trip I was going to take you on," Amber finally said, her voice small and tight. Diana looked confused. "What? No, you never mentioned. I've been saving for 3 years, Mom. It was supposed to be a surprise for your 60th. I've talked about it forever." I watched as understanding dawned on Diana's face. She looked at me questioningly, but I kept my expression neutral, taking a casual sip of my wine. "Well," Diana said slowly, "this is the first I'm hearing about any concrete plans from you. Ellie's already booked everything. We leave next Saturday." What followed was the kind of meltdown I'd been anticipating for months. Amber, according to Diana's stunned retelling after she hung up, had screamed about betrayal, rich coming from her, accused her mother of choosing me over her own daughter, somewhat true, and finally broken down crying about how I was stealing her mother to get back at her, entirely accurate. "Is that true?" Diana asked me directly, her eyes searching mine. "Is this some kind of revenge plot?" I considered lying, but something in Diana's steady gaze made me opt for a version of the truth instead. Did I choose this specific trip because I knew Amber had been talking about it for years? Yes, I admitted. Do I think there's a certain poetry to me taking her mother on her dream vacation after she took my boyfriend? Also yes. I paused, then added the part that was absolutely true, but Diana, I genuinely want to go on this trip with you. I genuinely enjoy your company. This isn't just about Amber. Diana was quiet for a long moment, sipping her wine and studying me. Finally, she set down her glass. "You know what? I don't even care if part of this is about getting back at Amber. She and Ryan betrayed you in the worst possible way. And if she really wanted to take me on this trip, she's had years to do it." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I'm still going with you, Ellie." The look of relief on my face must have been comical, because she laughed. Besides, she added with a mischievous glint in her eye that reminded me precisely where Amber had gotten her manipulative streak, "I've always wanted to see Santorini." The week before our departure was chaos. Amber launched a full offensive, calling her mother constantly, showing up unannounced at her house, even sending her dad to try to talk Diana out of the trip. She suddenly found the money for the trip she'd been promising, too late, accused me of emotional manipulation, ironic, and even tried to reconcile with me through mutual friends. Absolutely not, none of it worked. Diana held firm, and I watched with growing satisfaction as Amber's desperation increased. The night before we left, I received a text from Ryan, the first I'd allowed through in months. "You don't have to do this. Amber's a mess. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it." I smiled as I typed my reply. This isn't about making a point. It's about taking a wonderful woman on the vacation of her dreams. The fact that it happens to be the vacation her daughter promised but never delivered is just, what's that word you both loved so much? Serendipity. I blocked him again before he could respond. The morning of our departure, Diana picked me up in an Uber, practically vibrating with excitement. She'd bought a new sun hat, new sandals, and a gorgeous floral sundress for the trip. "I haven't felt this young in years," she confessed as we checked our luggage at the airport. As we stood in the security line, I felt my phone buzz. A final text from Amber had somehow made it through my blocks. "I hope you're happy. You've stolen my mother just like I stole your boyfriend. I guess we're even now." I showed the message to Diana, who read it with a frown. Then she took my phone, typed a quick response, and handed it back to me. She had written, "The difference is, I'll bring your mother back in 2 weeks. You're never getting Ellie back. And for the record, we're not even. We're just getting started." Then she shut off her phone, handed it to me to put in my purse, and linked her arm through mine. "No phones for 2 weeks, remember? Now let's go see the world." As our plane lifted off the ground, I looked over at Diana, already flipping through the in-flight magazine and marking pages of places she wanted to see. I thought about Amber, who was probably still staring at that final text, realizing that her mother had chosen sides after all. Thought about those perfect Instagram photos I'd taken in Santorini, the ones Amber had been planning for years, the backdrop for a mother-daughter moment she'd never get to have. I'd post them when we got back, of course. Tag her in every single one. Some might call it petty. I call it justice. The Mediterranean sun was waiting, and so was 2 weeks of making memories with Diana that would forever remind Amber of what she'd thrown away. Not just me, but her mother's respect as well. As the flight attendant came by with champagne, Diana raised her plastic cup to mine. "To new beginnings," she said with a wink. I clinked my cup against hers. "And to the trips some people will never take." If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel for more tales of betrayal, revenge, and unexpected friendships. Have you ever experienced betrayal from someone close to you? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you navigated your own moments of crisis and the creative ways you might have found closure. Don't forget to like and share if this resonated with you.